Do you think it's going to be looking brighter in 2023 for the Tories, or is it going to be more of the same?
No, I think, well, it can't get any worse, I don't think. So I think it's
the only way is up.
The only way is up. This is a season of goodwill to all men, as the saying goes, and I think the public will start to see in 2023 what a government under Rishi Sunak really looks like. He has come into a job under turbulent circumstances after Liz Truss, with a flatlining economy, and obviously the debacle over after Boris Johnson left Downing Street. So Rishi has come in a very, very difficult situation, and I think the public will, as I say, start to see what it's like to be under his reign, as it were, as Prime Minister, and we'll start to see the economy improve, we'll start to see the cost of living issues be tackled, inflation coming down, and the government actually dealing with issues that the public really care about. Well,
we've had a lot of strikes, obviously ruining Christmas for many. What do you think in the new year the chances are of actually getting some deals signed?
Well, I think a credit to Rishi Sunak and the government, because it shows just how tough and strong this government is going to be. We're not going to be run by the union barons like Mick Lynch, that has destroyed Christmas for millions of families, it has to be said. People who want to go home at a time like this and celebrate with their friends and family are unable to do so because the unions have decided that they want to cause as much misery at this particular time when they could do it at another time if they chose to, but they've chosen to do it over Christmas. And I do regret that for millions of people and millions of families across this country. But the government has shown strength in its resolve to tackle the economic crisis that we face. We can't just give away money where it isn't in the coffers. Everybody is feeling a bit of a pinch, is feeling the squeeze, is suffering. But as I say, once the new year comes into fruition, hopefully, if the government delivers on its economic forecasts and targets, inflation will start to come down, those cost of living pressures will be released, and we'll start to see that support and that growth in the economy, which is what we all want to see.
Well, I guess that's what Rishi Sunak and the Conservatives are counting on, because I'm guessing that people will remember this, and if the idea is that not giving these pay rises to keep inflation low, if it does increase, then this may well have backfired. This certainly, you don't think there's going to be political blowback from not talking to the nurses?
Well, I think it is it's a different situation, I think, with the medical profession than those in the NHS. I think figures that are out last week have demonstrated that even just a 1% pay increase to those that are already in the service could recruit 16,000, 70,000 extra nurses. So it's not just about pay, it's about the conditions of which the people who are on the front line and do so much for all of us in this country. It's about making sure that they have, yes, the pay, but also the right working conditions and the most appropriate working conditions to allow them to do the fantastic job that they do. So that's about investing in new technology. It's about recruiting more people, more training places, as well as pay. All of that is a package. And that's why the government has had an independent pay review body to look at pay. It's agreed with that independent pay review body. It's the unions that haven't. So a conversation needs to...
Well, of course, the unions say that it's somewhat outmoded and not fit for purpose. But this has been a long-term problem. This isn't just happening this Christmas. I mean, this massive deficiency of employees in the NHS, I mean, they are massively understaffed. Surely, what's going to change now? I mean, we had this problem a year ago. We had this problem 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Why is it going to get sorted now, do you think?
Well, I think as I mentioned before, I think the Health Secretary was out on the airwaves last week talking about what needs to happen in the NHS. There needs to be the new technology that comes in. There needs to be more training places available for people to take up those roles in the NHS. It's about retaining people that might want to leave the NHS. We had a lot of doctors and nurses that came back to support the NHS during COVID, where the NHS demonstrated why it is the most valuable asset in this country. It did so much to protect us. They were the people on the front line.
They would argue they're not getting paid.
Well, and
accordingly,
and that's why I think there is a bit more sympathy with the nurses and those that are on working in the ambulance service, and those who were on strike last week, who have ultimately actually called off another strike. Those ambulance workers and paramedics, because they understand that a point has been made. Conversations do need to continue. I'm sure they will in the new year. But I think everybody understands the economic circumstances that we find ourselves in.
Yeah, I mean, what about Labour? I mean, is this their merriest Christmas for quite a long time, I think? The polls aren't massively shifting.
I think that's fair to say. But I think that's probably because of a mess of the previous Conservative sort of party's own making, rather than any ambition or any kind of home runs that Labour are making. I think Labour in the new year also have to present policies for this country. They could be the next government. I don't think that's going to happen because I think the longer that you see Rishi Sunak as Prime Minister, the more that you'll see policies coming forward that the government are doing to tackle what is really important to this country. And the more they see of him, the more they'll like him. And it will be a very, very interesting 2023, 2024.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's a waiting game, isn't it? We'll see if Rishi steps up. We'll see if having some consistency will help the Tories. And what about yourself? What are you going to be getting up to over Christmas?
Getting very merry.
Getting very merry, OK. You're going to be just getting very drunk then?
Merry. But we had our family Christmas dinner sort of yesterday. We came together, so tomorrow we'll just be with probably more friends.
Oh, well, you're ahead of the game. Let's have a quick chat with my panel now. Rebecca, are the Tories on the up or facing plenty more misery? What do you think?
Say that again, dear.
Do you think that the Tories actually are up, or do you think that really it's over for them?
It's completely over for them. What a ludicrous question.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there is nothing left for them to give. It is absolute shambles after shambles, and I think we are going to talk about it soon, about obviously Rishi going to this homeless shelter and the absolute farce that he made of that as well. I've got nothing good to say about them. I haven't for a very, very long time, but you're talking to the Deputy Leader of UKIP, so I'm not going to be very positive about the Conservatives, am I?
Well, let's speak to an actual Conservative then, Sean. What do you think?
An actual one.
An actual Conservative.
I'll say this. The longer Rishi's Prime Minister and the more questions they ask Keir Starmer is when you'll start to realise, actually, we can't have the Labour Party. Look at this nonsense that happened in Scotland with the gender bill.
Oh, yeah.
Where's Keir Starmer?
That's not on him, though, is it?
Yeah, but he said that he's suggesting he'll bring it here to England.
I think that was more a Telegraph headline than the actual...
Well, let's see. Yes. Let's see. Where is he on this? He couldn't identify a woman earlier in the year, so...
I agree with you. That was ridiculous.
What's he saying about the migrant crisis? What's he saying about the cost of living? He's saying absolutely nothing. And what will happen is, when an election comes, people have to weigh up the trouble. And let's be clear, there has been trouble in the Tory Party, I won't lie, but that'd be ridiculous. The troubled Tory Party against an absolutely nothing Labour Party. And if you're sat here now and you're thinking about UKIP and other people, just be very careful, but by registering a protest vote, you don't give us a Labour government, because a Labour government now, at this tough time, would be the end of this nation.
Handbrake.
So two people agree, but I think three faces probably nodding away there. Tommy, what do you think?
Right, so these guys are proper politic heads in that respect. So as you're representing the average Joes, very average, probably even below average, some would say. I'd say the problem we've got is these are really testing times. These are really quite unique times. Even in my life, I'm 46 years old, it feels like there's more things, more cracks, more problems in life and the way in which this country is run than we've ever seen before. So will it be a smooth run for Rishi over Christmas? No. Will it be a smooth 2023? Probably not. But there's a lot of mending that needs to be done, and the average person like me just wants to see people living and enjoying life. I see so many people living in fear or worries, and I think I want that to change. When I think back to my childhood of the 80s and people playing out in the streets and the laughter and people talking over the fences, I feel like all of that's gone. What happened to Great Britain? We've all just become so brittle. It's Great Brittle now. It's just I want to get that strength back. My parents got on a boat here for a reason. God damn it! Can we get it back to what it was, please? Thanks a lot. Cheers.
Look, let's hear from our guest, Charlie. You get the last word. Do you think that Rishi is able to do what Tommy says there, get the great back in Britain, or the Brit in Britain, or the... What was it you were saying, Tommy? The Brit, I don't know, whatever he said.
I think I was just rambling, to be honest, Josh, but thanks for that.
The answer, 100% yes. I mean, Rishi is a brilliant communicator. He's been the Chancellor of the Exchequer of this country. He knows how to manage the nation's finances. We will see a recovery, hopefully, next year, but people will start to see things improve under his leadership, and I think it will be, as Sean said, if it's the choice between Labour under Sir Keir Starmer or Rishi's Conservative Party, it will be Rishi Sunak that will be leading the country for a bit longer than what people might think.